What's good, everybody? Let's get into Surrey real estate. Let's talk about what's going on for condominiums, townhomes, detached homes. What is happening with inventory in the market? What's happening with prices in the market? And who's got the advantage in these particular market conditions for April 2025? Let's jump into it right now.
Chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right.
Perfect. All right, let's jump into it here. So, what is going on with Surrey real estate in general? Jumping into condominiums to begin with, just to give you a little bit of a refresher, the red line that you're seeing on your screen, what does that represent? That represents balanced market conditions, a condition where there's really no advantage to either party. Now, what you're going to notice is condominiums, they've been underneath a balanced market condition for quite some time. That is what we call a buyer's market condition. That's where buyers have more of an advantage. They've got more to look at. The days on market is climbing for listings that are out there. Pricing really matters. And if a seller really wants to woo a buyer, they need to make choices with their pricing to really get those people in the door. So last month, the market did improve ever so slightly, but it came in at in and around 12%. That's roughly about 1 out of 8 condominiums coming to the market. And this is for the city of Surrey as a whole, which includes South Surrey and Cloverdale and all those areas. But this is about 1 out of 8 properties coming to the market were actually transacting. So there was a little bit of an improvement there, which is interesting to see. Now, interestingly enough, as well, even though the conditions seemingly are in a buyer's market condition, prices, according to the home price index, which tracks the sway of prices up, down, staying even, all that sort of thing, actually went up ever so slightly for condominiums month over month. Now, obviously, that's very interesting because that kind of goes against what the sales to active ratio or just the basic supply and demand is telling us. Now, I do find just in practice and selling lots of real estate in the community that this particular number of the home price index, I find that it actually trails what is actually happening in the marketplace by roughly about 2 months, give or take. So this might not feel like the most recent information, but nonetheless, this is what the information is telling us. So the month over month, the prices basically stayed flat. They didn't really change overly much for condos in the area of Surrey. But year over year, if you're a home buyer, good news, if you waited a year, you're roughly saving about $22,000 on the exact same condominiums that you could have bought about 1 year ago. Now, this means that the advantage right now in this particular market is certainly for buyers. And I'm going to give you a few pieces of advice here. You do want to be careful about timing the market. We did see the supply and the demand. There was more people buying homes versus what's available this month than there was last month. And if that continues to trend upwards, you might see these market conditions start to diminish where you've got this really good amount of inventory and you're able to really negotiate a great value on a condominium. So just be careful on timing the market because that leads into my second point. Consider your monthly rent as well. If we go back and we talk about year over year, the fact that you saved $22,000 on buying a condominium today versus a year ago, you want to consider if you are somebody that's renting, maybe you're looking at getting in your first home, just the amount of savings versus the amount that you're actually spending on rent each month, because we know that rent is expensive, obviously. So you're going to want to take that into consideration. The next mention that I want to make sure I get out there is just how challenged new construction is. We're not going to get into it right now, but we do have a federal election coming up where we've got two party leaders promising some big reforms on GST, especially for first time home buyers. Now, the other party is saying that everybody will get this GST, grant or not rebate. They won't have to pay it anyways if it's for new construction. But as of right now, until that federal election happens, nothing has changed. So that might really spur on new construction and give some really great opportunities for people to buy new. Because of course, new construction in British Columbia as well, there's no property transfer tax. We actually have a great video coming out on our YouTube channel about the opportunities that the removal of that GST for properties up to whatever the number ends up being, just the incredible opportunities that are going to exist, as well as some people that are going to feel detriment from that new announcement as well, should that all come to fruition after our federal election takes place. So keep an eye on that. And if you're somebody that's selling a place, I just need you to know that pricing, especially for condominiums, really matters. There's a lot for buyers to look at, and they're all relatively similar to each other in many ways. So you're going to have to be very sharp on your pricing if you're going to want to be one that sells rather than sits in the coming months. Jumping into townhomes, What's going on with townhomes? Well, you can see that we're in a balanced market condition, about 17.5. So that's roughly about 1 out of 5, up to 1 out of 6 properties going to the market are actually selling. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, that's actually a relatively healthy real estate market that's good for both parties. We have seen price increases according to the home price index as well in this area. And what I'm noticing is actually it looks like the graphs on here, they didn't get updated when I pulled this information. So it's not necessarily showing the exact changes month over month on this, but this will. So month over month, townhomes are up about $6,400. If you had waited 1 month, you're actually paying a little bit more according to the home price index for townhomes right now. But year over year, you're down about 22,000. So you're still in a better spot today than you were about 1 year ago. This means the advantage is in the buyer's court. The reason I say that is because you are in a balanced market. You still do have some choice, and prices aren't necessarily skyrocketing up right now. We are coming into the spring market, however. This is typically when the most amount of properties will begin to transact. So just keep that in mind. If you're someone who's been waiting for some time, the spring market typically becomes a little busier, and you're going to want to incorporate that information into your plans. I do think townhomes are going to continue to perform strongly. And the reason I do is because simply that is the missing middle for many home buyers. It's the perfect balance of affordability and space that is offered so people can really still get what they need out of their or for their real estate needs in the townhome market. So I think that's going to continue to be a market that outperforms both the condo market and the detached market. Speaking of detached market, what's going on? Well, you can see a very thick, balanced market red line there, and the number for what is actually happening in terms of supply and demand is way below that, down at 8.1%. That's a really difficult market, folks. So that means about 1 out of every 12 properties that are coming to the market are transacting, and that is going to have an impact on pricing. Now, interestingly enough, that is not what the home price index is showing us. But I don't necessarily believe that to be true. Mind you, that is the data. And this is the guy who loves data arguing with data. So it's actually saying that prices did go up month over month, but that market is very challenged. 1 out of 12. That means buyers got lots of choice, lots to look at. So what the numbers are telling me, anyways, is the detached homes are up roughly about $10,000 month over month, and year over year, however, they are down roughly about $20,000. So take that for what it is, but that market definitely is advantage for the buyers. Now, pricing, when there's massive price changes or even just price changes generally in the market, there's a saying that when prices go up, they take the elevator, but when prices go down, they take the stairs. And the reason for that is quite simple. There's many people that are either committed to selling their home, but there's more so that are just simply interested but not committed. They're not willing to put themselves in the position to actually effect a sale. So you're going to want to find those people out there that are actually committed to selling their homes and obviously have priced their properties appropriately. If you're a seller, pricing your home right in a market where only 1 out of 12 are selling is very, very important. You're going to want to make sure you get it right. And I think prices will remain challenged for the spring market related to detached homes, just simply because the amount of inventory that's out there, and that's not going to change overnight. So what are some things that you're going to want to watch out for, whether you are a buyer or a seller? Where mortgage rates, we've seen lots of rate cuts in the coming months. We just had one recently, and who knows what's going to come up on the next one with all the stuff going on politically right now. Just make sure you keep an eye on that, because cheaper money does influence the market, obviously. We've got economic trends and shifts. We've got lots of talks about US tariffs and what that might do to the economy. We also have a federal election coming up very, very shortly. There's going to be lots of promises and lots of talk going on about what that might do to the real estate market. So certainly keep your eye on that. Demand, well, you've got a good indication of what's going on in demand. And with that, seasonal trends going into the spring market, that's when most properties are going to transact within the entire year. So you're going to want to pay attention to that. And also, we live in British Columbia, lots of local policy changes always happening. So make sure you're reading that newspaper. As tough as it might be to see all the negative in there, you're going to want to know what both the provincial and municipal governments are doing, as well as the federal governments are doing to help boost real estate sales, which is really good for the economy. So there you have it. If you have any questions about this information, don't hesitate to leave a comment below, or feel free rather to reach out to me and my team by using the link below in the description if you'd like to chat about your own current situation. And if you're just someone that is staying informed about the real estate market, whether you are a home owner or a potential home buyer, you can grab a copy of our 21 grants, rebates, and incentives available to both home buyers and home owners, available right now. So you can find that in the description as well. Other than that, make sure you keep an eye on the channel for some of the videos coming out. We got some really great content for you guys, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month on the stats update. Cheers.